So first of all, Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Yasir Ilyas. I head Hysab Kytab. Hysab Kytab is a fintech focused on financial management, and we do have certain products that we have been, trying to promote within Pakistan and abroad. So we have a personal financial management solution. We have a solution for the SME segment, which is an integrated ERP solution. And also we have a solution for the MSME segment, which is called Hysab Kytab Karobar. So in basically, I would like to begin by sharing as to who we are and what have we achieved so far, or uske alawa ye ki like where are we heading towards. So as Hisab Kitab, we basically became a company, an independent company in 2019, July of 2019. Before that, we are part of Jaffa Group, which has a legacy of 40 years in the field of IT. We deal with every different domains of IT, which is financial solutions, big data, network optimization, enterprise solutions, and self-service banking. But as Hisab Kitab, which is an independent company, as I shared with you, our focus has been on financial management. So when I say financial management, it means the financial management of the consumer and then of the businesses. So for the consumer side, we have had like good traction globally. We have a consumer app which has been downloaded in 160 plus countries, and this app, by 650,000 plus users, and they have clocked in around like 12 million plus transactions. So this consumer app is a free app available for anyone to download from the Play Store or Google Play or Apple Play Store. So anyone can download this app and use it. The main purpose why we had the consumer app was for users to provide us their feedback on the user experience and the user interface that we are designing for our consumers, and learn from them and basically translate that into a white label solution. After around like 2 years of learning experience that we had with the consumer base, we basically converted this consumer app into a white label solution. And then we started targeting the banks. Luckily, the first bank that we signed up with for a PFM solution was HBL, which is the largest retail bank in Pakistan, followed by Bank Al Habib, Bank of Punjab, and there are some other banks which are we are in advanced discussions with them and final stages of agreeing to work together, which basically makes us the number one PFM in Pakistan. And our focus has always been to exploit the global market. So a little bit about myself. Basically, I started my career with IBM in New York. I worked for IBM for 5 years. Worked for Ernst & Young for 3 years again in New York, and then I moved to KPMG in the Middle East. Worked for KPMG for 5 years. Had my own venture with 3 Saudi guys for 3 years in Saudi Arabia. And then I moved to IKEA. I was working for IKEA as the country consumer navigation manager for both Saudi Arabia and Bahrain. So Hisab Kitab is something which inspired me a lot, and which inspired me enough to basically leave my, the financial well-being that I was enjoying abroad in a senior role, and come back to Pakistan and try to do something, to bring the Pakistani product to the global map. So one of the things I always say is that if you look at the Pakistani products that have gone global, you can name Shan as one of the best example. Wherever you go, I've lived half of my life in US, then the other half in Middle East, and I moved to Pakistan in 2019. If you look at Shan as a product, so anywhere, even if you go in the upstate New York, you will see that Shan, Shan masala is there, on the shelves of Walmart and other, they are on the shelves of Walmart and all the retail stores. So now, that truly gives me a sense of, a global product. So now, when we see any other product as Pakistan, we don't see any product which is the same way as Shan Masala. So my inspiration was to come back to Pakistan and basically contribute to taking a product global. Can you hold on a second, please? I think. Yusuf, can you just close the door? Sorry, there was someone in the room, so I had to say that. So when you look at the product, any product that is that has gone global is truly from Pakistan, is truly Shan. So my inspiration was to come back to Pakistan and contribute to taking a product global. So once I moved back to Pakistan, it was for Hysab Kytab because locally in Pakistan, as a professional, I knew Waqar Islam, who's the founder of Hysab Kytab, and he has been inspiring me a lot when I was living abroad. So I had the discussion with him, came back to Pakistan. To make a long story short, a main vision was to develop a product, create success within Pakistan, and take the product abroad. So now, in line with our vision, so as I shared that we have already secured our contracts with 3 banks, leading banks in Pakistan, and we have a few more that we are in advanced stages of our discussion. So we also started an effort for taking the products, global. So when I'm talking about products global, so our main focus was Middle East and Africa. So in the Middle East and Africa, I'm happy to share that we have a channel partner network of around 15 channel partners who basically are system integrators and individuals and leading technology companies within their countries, and they are promoting Hysab Kytab to the banks in their respective countries. Now, the very important question that I would like to state and share with the audience is, why is there a need of PFM? So when we started this journey, it was almost like when we were sitting with any bank in Pakistan or abroad. So we were kind of like educating them on the need of PFM. And most of the banks perceive PFM as a good to have solution, but not as a must have solution. So now when I think of, PFM and I think of the digital banking, now I see there's a complete shift that no digital banking solution, is considered complete without a PFM. So this is not it is not one of those things that if you go back in time, you would realize that there were banks who were, trying to get the mobile application just for the sake of having mobile application. But now, the reason why banks are so keen on having PFM is because it's an inflection point for the banks. So, those banks, irrespective of the size of the banks, that invest in the right technology, invest in the right focus, which is, if the banks are going toward hyper-personalization, that is the right focus. And if they don't do that, then, it is, those banks are going to lose. Whereas those banks who invest in the right technology and the right focus, these banks will win. So I'll ask audience this question that, when was the last time you visited a bank? And normally when I ask this question, the response I get is very rare. So, people have, stopped going to the branches unless there's a need for signing a check or, getting something, a printout stamped. Other than that, they rely on the digital media, which is their mobile application mainly. So, because this mobile application gives you, so many opportunities to know your customers, the bank realized that now this is the time when they need to know their customers better. And they have acknowledged that the banks have incomplete knowledge about their customers. So because of the incomplete knowledge, the banks are not able to target their customers with the relevant products and services. And hence they have a smaller wallet share. Whereas If you look at on the customer side, the customer basically, there's a research which was done, and it was done by the Forrester Research, and they asked like, how many, they asked the audience to vote for the various products and they would like to see in the mobile application. The majority of 43% of the audience said that they want to enroll a new bill pay in the mobile application. 52% said that they want to pay another person through the mobile application, and there were different other features. But overwhelming majority of these users basically said that they want to view all finances in one place, and that was around 75% of them. And why they're saying it, because when we did some surveys with the users want to see all their finances in one place, because they don't know where the money went. And this is something which is alarming, that majority of the users feel that they would like to be in control of their finances and their money. They don't have one place for all finances, which means that they don't know. So, for example, they might have they might have lended money to someone. They might have a bank account where there's money lying. So as businesses, we cannot operate unless we are in control of our finances. Similarly, an individual cannot succeed financially unless they have access to all their finances in one place. And for this reason, they feel very disconnected with the banks, because banks keep targeting them with irrelevant offers, because the banks don't realize that there's a life outside the bank account also of the customer. So when we basically say this, so assume a bank that basically thinks of net worth of their customers, right? So if I look at the branches of the banks, even so, their branch managers and their sales team, relationship managers, they're given a KPI of mostly a deposit, and the other major KPI is the lending, right? So banks, the branch managers mainly focus on the deposits, and the way they do it is that they target the high net worth customers which they have in their pool, whereas they completely ignore the mid net worth and the low net worth customers. So for the mid net worth customers and the low net worth customer, these are the customers who you can target with your products and for lending, right? So imagine a bank that assumes the net worth of a customer to be, say, like 150,000 rupees, right? And this is based on what kind of information the bank has about this customer in their bank account, right? So this basically, if we get into the laws of averages, so it is assumed, or it is a fact, in fact, that most of the people in Pakistan, they have on average have around 3 bank accounts. So for bank to assume that this user's net worth is 150,000 rupees is a wrong assumption. And the reason is that this user have money in other bank account. This user must have invested somewhere else as well. This user must have money sitting in the form of cash, right? So, recalibration of the net worth is something that the banks need to focus on. So if I summarize this whole discussion, basically the banks with the limitations or the confines of their own data, we say that they have a 240-degree view of their customer. So when we say 240-degree view of their customer, it means that the bank, the bank view is dependent on whatever banks knows about this customer within the bank, which means, for example, the banks might be able to say the user, they know the user profile of the customer, for example, their name, their contact number, their email address, their age and gender, if they're capturing it, the education and occupation, again, if they're capturing it, city and the area of residence where they live, and the life cycle stage, again, if they're capturing this information, right? The other things that the banks can claim to have is that they basically know about the kind of accounts this customer have opened at the bank. The card types that the bank has issued to the customer, what kind of spending the user is doing based on the card. But majority of the banks that I've met, they don't have the MCC code mapping, so they don't know where basically which category the user is spending a lot on, and the monthly income if the account is the income account. So this was the 240-degree view, right? But whereas as Hysab Kytab, what we say is that we provide the user a 360-degree view of their finances, meaning that we provide the banks a 360-degree view of the users, right? How we do that is by adding a lot more layers of data that the banks doesn't have currently. For example, we'll let the banks have a view about all bank accounts that the users have and the card-based spending that the user is doing by category mapped to the category, right? Monthly income from all sources, not just the monthly income that is, if it is a income account that's falling within the bank's account. All investments, that the users have done in different places. Monthly budget, what kind of budget the user is creating and how the user is trying to stay within the budget or how the user is performing against the budget. What are the saving aspirations or goals of the users and how, what is the actual net worth of this user and the major upcoming events of the user and other interests and preferences. Now, everything that we help the bank know is, we call it the context. So once the banks know about the context, these contexts, provides banks an opportunity to see the qualified leads that get generated by these usage. I'll give you an example, a use case. So for example, if,
sorry to interrupt you, sir. You have 1 minute remaining. So the other panel.
Sure, no problem.
Can you wrap up this?
So in summary, I'll summarize the whole thing. So I'll just give two use cases that will define how effectively banks can increase their ETP and NTP portfolios and the return on investment that they've made in other systems. So once you have, this kind of data insights about your customer's context, then you can target the customer in a much more targeted way. I'll give you two use cases to basically summarize my discussion. So one is, if imagine a customer who basically has been using your PFM in your bank's mobile application and has been recording, expenses in medical expenses, right, in the category of medical expenses. So our solution is built with the AI and ML in it. So the moment it sees that someone is recording, say, like medical expenses for the past 3 months, automatically a solution will ask this user to create a budget because it will say that you have been spending a lot in this category. And will basically ask the user to create a budget for the medical expenses. The moment user clicks on the creating the budget for the medical expenses, this user have notified the bank that I will be spending on medical expenses in the coming months as well. So this automatically, this user, the moment he or she have clicked, create budget for this, now is flagged as a qualified lead for medical insurance. So now the branch manager, the relationship manager will be tasked with these kind of qualified leads and will be asked to convert them into customers or to convert them in buying the product. And it will be given, a score of 98, 99%. That will be acceptable score because we are giving now the qualified leads to you. Right? Similarly, we don't say that, right now, if you look at the way we are promoting, say, home financing, the home financing is promoted based on, 10% interest rate or 8% interest rate. With Hysab Kytab as part of your banking solution, you will turn the opportunity expense into an opportunity. For example, if someone is spending, say, 90,000 rupees on rent, and say like they have created a saving goal of 40,000 rupees for house building. So what you can do is that you can reach out to this customer and say, if rather than you spend spend 90,000 on rent, which is something you're throwing out of the window, we will help you save 130,000 rupees rather than the 40,000 that you intended to save for house building loan. So our mortgage will be around 130,000 rupees. And, so you have converted that expense, which was going in the rent, and you converted that you basically flag this user as a qualified lead for selling the house financing. And in a very targeted way, the amount that a person has expressed that the person can afford. So in
Great
nutshell,
insight, Yasir. We are running out of time. There is another panel. It was very, very insightful. If there is just one last thing that you would like to add before we close this session.
No, I think like, it was a high level overview that I wanted to give. There are basically, we do have things related to, say, NTB portfolio as well, which is the new to bank. So as a summary, last statement that I would like to give is that, banks have KPIs, and these KPIs are related to your, basically, say, ETB portfolios, your NTB portfolios, and our solution is designed in a way that it will help you increase transaction with the customers, increase deposit, create an NTB list of users around your current existing users, will help you hyper personalize, will help you manage the ATB portfolio, help you upsell and cross sell, through the qualified opportunities, and will help you the banks achieve the higher engagements with the bank's digital channels. In nutshell, knowing your customer is what you focus on, and if you know your customer better, then you'll be able to work with the customer better and become the bank of choice.
Thank you very much, Yasir. Thank you very much for
No
your
problem.
time. It was a very insightful session. Thank you.